Have you ever noticed that some people seem to challenge you for no obvious reason? They ignore your messages, question your opinions, interrupt you when you're speaking, make subtle jokes at your expense, or suddenly become distant just to see how you'll react. At first, it feels random, even unfair. But what if these moments aren't accidents at all? What if they're quiet psychological tests designed to measure your confidence, emotional control, and personal boundaries? The surprising truth is that people constantly evaluate one another, often without realizing they're doing it. Every conversation, disagreement, and awkward silence reveal something about who we are. The way you respond in those small moments can completely change how others see and treat you. In this video, you'll discover why people test you, what these hidden tests really mean, and how understanding them can completely transform the way you navigate relationships, friendships, work, and everyday life. Human beings are naturally wired to gather information before deciding who they can trust, respect, or rely on. Thousands of years ago, survival depended on quickly judging whether someone was an ally or a threat. Although modern society looks very different, our brains still operate with many of those ancient instincts. Instead of testing physical strength, people now test emotional strength, confidence, reliability, and self-respect. Most of these evaluations happen automatically. Someone may ask for a small favor, make a sarcastic comment, or disagree with you, not necessarily to be cruel, but to observe how you handle pressure. Your reaction becomes more important than the situation itself. One of the most common reasons people test you is to measure your confidence. Confidence is difficult to fake over time. Words can sound convincing, but behavior tells the real story. Someone might challenge your opinion in front of others, question your decisions, or intentionally disagree even when they don't strongly believe the opposite. They're watching to see whether you immediately become defensive, apologize unnecessarily, or stand calmly behind your viewpoint. Truly confident people don't feel the need to win every argument. They remain composed because their self-worth isn't dependent on constant approval. Ironically, the less desperately you try to prove yourself, the more convincing your confidence appears. Another reason people test you is to discover your boundaries. Every relationship, whether personal or professional, operates according to invisible rules. These rules aren't usually spoken aloud. They're learned through experience. Someone may arrive late repeatedly, borrow something without asking, interrupt you, or expect you to always accommodate their needs. If you never object, they unconsciously assume those behaviors are acceptable. This isn't always intentional manipulation. Often, people simply continue doing what they've learned they can get away with. Healthy boundaries teach others how to treat you without needing endless explanations. Respect often grows not from pleasing everyone, but from consistently protecting your own standards. People also test emotional stability. Imagine someone criticizes you unfairly, makes an insensitive joke, or tries to provoke you during an argument. While the words may sting, the deeper purpose is often to observe your emotional control. Individuals who lose their temper easily become predictable. Once someone knows exactly how to trigger you, they gain influence over your emotions. On the other hand, remaining calm under pressure sends a powerful message. Emotional stability doesn't mean suppressing feelings or pretending nothing bothers you. It means choosing your response instead of allowing your emotions to make the decision for you. This ability creates an impression of maturity, strength, and reliability. Sometimes people test you because they're searching for security. This is especially common in romantic relationships and close friendships. A person may cancel plans unexpectedly, become unusually quiet, or create small moments of distance. While these actions can feel confusing, they're sometimes unconscious attempts to answer one question: will this person still value me? Fear of rejection often causes people to seek reassurance indirectly instead of asking for it honestly. Understanding this doesn't mean accepting unhealthy behavior, but it does remind us that not every test comes from bad intentions. Some are driven by insecurity rather than manipulation. Jealousy can create another form of testing. When someone notices your success, confidence, or growing popularity, they may begin making subtle comparisons or minimizing your achievements. They might joke about your accomplishments, question your decisions, or point out small flaws. Their goal isn't always to hurt you directly. Sometimes they're simply trying to reduce the gap they feel between themselves and you. In psychology, people often protect their self-image by lowering someone else's perceived value instead of improving their own. Recognizing this pattern allows you to avoid taking every criticism personally. Not every negative comment reflects your reality. Sometimes it reflects another person's internal struggle. Social groups constantly perform subtle tests as well. Starting a new job, joining a friend group, or entering a new community often involves an unspoken adjustment period. People observe how you communicate, whether you gossip, how you react to disagreement, and whether your actions match your words. These aren't formal evaluations, but they help determine where you fit within the group's social dynamics. Consistency becomes incredibly important here. People trust individuals whose behavior remains stable over time. Someone who constantly changes personality to impress different people often appears unpredictable rather than likable. Interestingly, the biggest mistake many people make is assuming every disagreement is a personal attack. This mindset creates unnecessary anxiety because it encourages overthinking every interaction. Not every challenge is a psychological game. Sometimes people are simply expressing a different opinion, having a stressful day, or communicating poorly. Learning to distinguish between genuine differences and deliberate testing is an important emotional skill. The more secure you become within yourself, the less energy you'll waste trying to decode every conversation. So how should you respond when someone tests you? The answer isn't aggression or submission. It's calm confidence. Listen carefully before reacting. Avoid becoming defensive over small comments. Set respectful boundaries when necessary. Speak honestly without seeking constant validation. Most importantly, don't allow another person's behavior to define your emotional state. When people realize they cannot easily manipulate your emotions or push you beyond your principles, many of their tests naturally disappear. Those who genuinely respect you will appreciate your consistency, while those who rely on manipulation often lose interest because their strategies no longer work. Perhaps the most fascinating truth is that everyone tests everyone, including you. Even if you don't notice it, you've probably observed how people react under pressure, whether they keep promises or how they treat others. These quiet evaluations are simply part of human nature. The difference lies in awareness. Once you understand why these tests happen, they stop feeling mysterious or intimidating. Instead of reacting emotionally, you begin responding thoughtfully. And that single shift changes everything. The next time someone questions you, challenges your boundaries, or seems to be measuring your reaction, don't immediately assume they're against you. Instead, recognize the moment for what it may be, an opportunity to demonstrate confidence, emotional intelligence, and self-respect. In the end, people rarely remember every word you said. They remember how you carried yourself when it mattered most. The strongest individuals aren't the loudest, the most aggressive, or the most intimidating. They're the ones who remain calm, authentic, and grounded no matter what test life or other people places in front of them. And once you master that skill, you'll discover that the greatest test was never about proving yourself to others. It was about proving to yourself that your confidence doesn't depend on anyone else's approval.